Hey guys, it's LSuperSonicQ here with a classic episode of the In-Depth series. So my goodness, it's been a while since we've had one of these episodes. Nonetheless, just an episode kind of just from one of my old series about art, not edited, not all like jazzed up and stuff. So this is very reminiscent of the old days, and today we're going to take a look at the kind of second part to the clay tutorial models. Was it a year ago or so? Sometime ago, I did a video showcasing the first like 7 clay tutorial models, and I want to do this one showcasing the next batch of all the ones I've made so far. So first up is Fox. So he's the oldest one that I have to show right now, and he's based off of the Star Fox 64/64 3D style, and I like him. I think he turned out pretty good, especially for a tutorial. A bit large, though, I will say that. I probably didn't mean to make him that large, but most of the tutorials that I did during this like month of clay tutorials, back whenever this was, the models turned out fairly large. But yeah, he's got some nice coloring on him. I remember we mixed colors to get this very nice green for his jacket color. And the only thing I wish maybe I could have done was make his head like just a little more full, because it's rather flat if you can't tell. And this was his gun, but it kind of broke off. I wish some of these were in better shape, but yeah. So Fox McCloud. The next character is Spike Spiegel. So this was, well, most of these were requests, but this one specifically got me out of my gaming's, comfort zone and onto the anime stuff. I did a Spike Spiegel clay figure. I don't even know how long ago it was, and someone saw that and wanted me to do a tutorial on it, so this was my attempt at that. Now, like I said, I don't sculpt a lot of anime stuff, so already it was very difficult for me. Not to mention the fact that when I did this, I was actually under the weather, so it kind of turned out even worse. I mean, it's okay, but in my opinion, it's very, quote, generic. Like, there's nothing really about it that jumps out as being super great. And his cigarette actually is not in his hand because it broke off, like Fox's blaster. The hair, I definitely wish I could have gotten the hair a little bit full and stuff. I think my problem was I was trying to base this so much off of the previous model I had done that I should have been focusing more on just sculpting a new Spike instead of trying to recreate something I did so many years ago. But, like I said, these tutorial models, even though I am kind of critiquing them, it's more to critique what maybe I would do differently in the future, not so much like, oh, I didn't try hard when I was doing that. Like you guys can still watch these, and they're still useful to, help you guys in creating your own models, but if I seem a little critical, it's more just on my end, not so much like, oh, don't watch this because it's bad. It's just kind of how I ended up, with the final result, and what I think of that final result from my end. So next is Pepe, kind of to go along with Fox. So Pepe, I think, I'm trying to remember exactly how hard he was. I think for the most part he was pretty easy. His coat was definitely the most challenging part because it kind of wrapped all the way around his body, but I think we captured it pretty well. And the face is really good too. I just wish the ears maybe were a little fuller. Kind of like how Fox's face should be pushed out a little more, because what I can tell I did is I took toothpicks and simply put the clay around the toothpick to get it to stay in place. But I should have made the ears separately and then attach them with a toothpick, not so much sculpt around the toothpick. But he does have the Star Fox logo as a base, and some of it's broken off, unfortunately. But that definitely helped him stand up, and yeah, I would say he's probably just as accurate as the Fox was, and he's pretty well in scale, which is something I was trying to go for when I was doing the Fox, and when I was doing the Pepe, I kind of made a note that we should try and keep this in scale with Fox. So the next model is Link. So I think Link is going to be a tutorial that I redo in the near future. Now, I say that because I generally have a difficult time sculpting Link, and while I feel like this Link is pretty good, I do think I could get it a little bit better, especially in the face. I remember distinctly that I had a lot of difficulty in the face, and now with my revamped tutorials, I can kind of spend more time on the face, get a little bit more accuracy, because one of the hardest things when I do these, or the way I used to do them before I revamped them, is how, I had one shot to do it, or else I would have to edit this out, edit that out, and all this stuff. So with the new way I do it, editing is required, and I can spend a little more time on each part. But, I mean, I think it's a pretty good build. All the detail is in there. We got the shield, which I really like the colors on, and the sword holder. So yeah, he's sitting on a Triforce base. Nothing on him has necessarily been lost now, but literally a day after I finished sculpting this, and for the tutorial, he fell all apart, and he was in the prototype bag for a long time, so I had to kind of rebuild him like a model kit almost. But I eventually rebuilt him. I think it was a couple weeks ago I rebuilt him, and now he's along the lines of these other three guys. So now we're going to move on to something a little bit smaller, and this is classic Metal Sonic. So yeah, the jump between this Link and this Metal Sonic had definitely been quite a while, and I did want to kind of take a break from the tutorials because I do feel like on occasion I need to refresh myself, and definitely it's apparent between these two guys. So, classic Metal Sonic, I really like the colors. The blue is really nice. The white is a very nice touch. I did not even mean for that white to kind of look so nice. The red is a little bit dark. I wish it was a little brighter, but that was probably just a case of the clay changing color as it bakes in the oven. But otherwise, a pretty good pose. I got his little back spike and all there, and all the little bolts and stuff. And yeah, really small figure. I like it because it goes along with the other smaller Sonic tutorials I've done in the past. So moving on now to Lucario, another smallish one. It's like these guys are all big and like these ones are going to be all small. So Lucario, I was definitely expecting more of a challenge. And he wasn't as hard as I thought he was going to be, because thinking back to when I did that Brawl set from like 2007, 8, 9, somewhere around there, I did the Lucario and I had a lot of trouble with the face, but, well, more specifically, you know, the black, trying to get the black to look good with the blue and having it not overlap and stuff, but I had a pretty easy time with this, to be honest, and the dreadlocks as well. I thought I was going to have difficulty trying to, you know, kind of get those right, scale them right, but I didn't really have that much trouble, and the pose is really natural, too. He looks like, you know, he does in the game and stuff, so I really like how this turned out. He's a little lopsided, but he still stands up, or at least, I'm kind of on a sloped surface here. I hope he still stands up here, but anyway, yeah, really nice Lucario. And I don't sculpt Pokemon a whole lot anyway, so just to take on a Pokemon after, you know, years of not sculpting Pokemon, it made me pretty happy to get him so accurate. And, alright, he's going to have to lean up against Spike. Pepe, you got to stand up for me. Alright. So the next tutorial might be my favorite tutorial that I've ever done, and that is Samus. Simply because the end result is so spectacular that I kind of mentioned for all these ones, you know, there are things I would do differently if I wasn't, you know, being pressured, having to, you know, have a time limit, having, you know, to edit a ton of things out. But this Samus, I kind of just did it like all these other ones, just, you know, on camera, on the fly, but it turned out just as good as if I was doing it, you know, like on my own time, just taking as much time, you know, as I wanted, not even thinking about, you know, making a video. She's just, I just want to point this out, you can't really see it, I guess, in the camera, but she's just really smooth for some reason. Like, some of these characters have, like, you know, you kind of feel they're a little bumpy, a little rough, but I don't know what happened, but she's just really smooth all over, so I really like that every time I kind of, you know, go to pick her up and you know, show you guys like this. It just feels really smooth. So aside from that, I think a really highlight on this sculpture is all of the lines and the detail, which I just used a toothpick for, but even though I just used a toothpick, it's amazing what you can do with just the side of a toothpick and the front of the toothpick, because it looks really good, all the detail lines. Like, it really looks like, you know, this armor is bulky and she's in the Varia suit. And the arm cannon, too, I like how I was able to get that texturing on the arm cannon as well. And I think the overall sculpt and the pose and the build, just everything about it, I really, really enjoy. So, I guess we kind of scaled up from Lucario. I'll have to put Samus on the end over here. So, yeah, I'm on a slope surface, so a lot of these aren't standing up. Next is, Pepe, come on, man, you gotta stand up for me. I can't keep fixing you. Alright, he's gonna have to just be like that. Like I said, the surface is sloped, so they're all kind of falling. But next is Bonnie from Five Nights at Freddy's. Again, taking me out of my comfort zone. This was like a specific request, something out of my comfort zone. And I think, for not sculpting a lot of Five Nights models, I think Bonnie turned out pretty good. I have sculpted a couple Bonnies more than any other Five Nights characters. Some I haven't even sculpted. And for what it is, I think it was really good. The only things that really bug me is the fact that I didn't have exactly the right colors. So he's kind of more like pastel, and not so much the kind of darker colors that he should be as seen in game. And a lot of Bonnie is kind of creating just like circles and just building, you know, very simple shapes. But what I feel like happened there is, in building the circles, he's kind of like Yoshi, and Yoshi's so simple that every little off detail is so much more noticeable, and I feel like some of the shape, some of the build isn't as accurate as it could be. Not to mention, I should have been paying more attention to kind of the wires and kind of, you know, the parts of the animatronic that you can actually see in the game. But I mean, for a tutorial, for, you know, a Bond, like one of two Bonnies, you know, I can't really complain that much. So perhaps with a bit more practice, I could get Bonnie a little bit more accurate. And finally, we come to the most recent clay tutorial, and this is Shulk. So this might be like my second favorite clay, or end result clay tutorial, aside from Samus, because To do this on a colored clay, I was very surprised I was able to get so much accurate detail, and I was really worried because, you know, when people were like, oh, do a Shulk tutorial, I'm like, well, guys, I'm going to have to paint this because I can't sculpt all the detail on with just colored clay. But people were like, you know, we sculpt with the pre-colored clay, that's what you tell us to buy, like, you know, you can't paint this, so you gotta do it on a colored clay. And I took on the challenge, and I think it turned out really, really great. Like I said, just visually, you guys can just see the detail speaks for itself, and in the tutorial, you know, I go crazy with the detail. And the face is really good too. I kind of got to block these guys out so you can get a zoom in on the face. Yeah, just the precision there. Like, if you guys watch the tutorial, I had to use a toothpick, the tip of a toothpick, and a tiny dab of paint to get the face as accurate as I did. It was crazy. And he's in a very good scale as well. I'm really glad he wasn't overly small or overly large. I think I scaled him really perfectly. And I know some of you guys were complaining that we needed a Monado, and I do plan to do a Monado tutorial, so don't worry about that. We will get to that eventually. But I do want to say that the next tutorial I'm going to do, which again, this is kind of, you know, summer, and it's the summer of art, because I want more art on my channel again. So I'm going to be doing a flood clay tutorial in the very near future, and then after that, I know I still have that list of a ton of tutorials to do, but I'll probably do the Monado after that just to get Shulk out of the way. And that kind of does it for the tutorial, everything about that for this episode of the In-Depth series. One last thing before I go, guys, is that I am going to revive Coin Up Conversations this Friday at 7 p.m. on my channel. It's going to be like a live podcast. We're only going to go for about an hour, but if you guys want to check that out and stuff, then yeah, check it out Friday at 7. So thanks for watching, guys. As always, I'm LSuperSonicQ, and until the next video, Finn.